Hello, welcome to Movie Musters. Whoa. 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 We back with more surprises. We all knew in our hearts that something big was about to happen since Power Book 2, Ghost will end in only 1 week. However, it's one thing to know that and quite another to witness a death that upends the entire narrative. Now, the entire Power universe is altered. In Power Book 2, Ghost Season 4 Episode 9, the Tejada siblings spend the night away from home. Photo by Stars. It's not debatable to say that Power Book 2, Ghost Season 4 hasn't been as good as other seasons. There have been some better hours, or at least some enjoyable ones, but the season as a whole may be rated anywhere from AC to AB sounds about right. However, this one. Easily the best hour of the season, if not the best one overall, was this one. Now, what unites all excellent Power Ghost episodes? The Power model, which combines humor, drama, action, and plot lines that may have felt disjointed but crossed dynamically, is usually followed. That's exactly what transpired in this case, with a ton of twists leading up to Noma and Cain's fake wedding and an incredible conclusion. Cain and Noma have moved farther away from romanticism, therefore their domestic partnership has always been motivated by need. Cain needed the contacts Noma could provide, and Noma needed an American husband. And similarly to that, a mutually beneficial partnership was born. Noma moves on Power Book 2, Ghost Season 4 Episode 8. Courtesy of Stars, but Cain and Noma never trusted one another, and Monet would always be the biggest obstacle to a fruitful and seamless partnership. Noma realized that she would never be able to control Cain to the extent that she needed to as long as he had his ear. Noma saw teaming up with Carter as a way to regain some control, and for Carter, it was undoubtedly a way to get a paycheck and a way to get rid of his problems. Initially, I didn't completely understand Noma's plan because she seemed so determined to make sure everything was perfect, insisting that Monet attend the rehearsal dinner, even when circumstances began to get out of hand. But it was clever since she was aware of Monet's reactions and demeanor. Knowing that Monet wouldn't be pleased and supportive of her son's marriage would later allow her to play pretend with Cain and justify her absence from the wedding with her previous deeds. While Monet was dead someplace on Staten Island, Cain would believe that she genuinely didn't support him and his activities. However, as we'll see, Noma overplayed her hand. Because she had only ever witnessed the Tejadas attempting to destroy one another, she was also unaware of the nature of their link. In the 8th episode of Power Book 2, Ghost Season 4, Cain and Anya converse. Image courtesy of Stars. That family, however, comes up for family dinner despite spending the entire day conspiring to kill each other. Their construction differs. When Monet began her apology tour, I had a bad feeling about her future. It was endearing but also laced with the rawness that only Monet could convey. In many respects, this season has been about reinventing and reshaping Monet. The glimpse into her past, including those exchanges with her two greatest loves, Lorenzo and Mecca, helped to paint a picture of Monet's character and her journey to this point. Whitney Evans' review of Singles Week in Dr. Odyssey Season 1 Episode 2 and When the Going Gets Tough in 911 Season 8 Episode 2. Written by Evans. Whitney Evans's review of Rescue Hi Surf's 3rd episode, The Deep End. Monet has always placed a high value on her family, but this was largely done without a genuine necessity to do so. She did that to put herself first. Although she wasn't the best parent we've ever seen on Power, Monet wasn't the worst either. She did what she believed was best for the Tejadas, but only if it benefited her. She forced her children to follow her example, even when it was far from in their best interests since it was what she required. Perhaps for the first time, she has demonstrated this season that she can think beyond her own wants and needs. Instead of making demands of them, she asks. Rather than imposing her will on them, she has met them halfway. In Power Book 2, Ghost Season 4 Episode 8, Monet is on a quest. Image courtesy of Stars. Monet has undergone a wonderful metamorphosis while remaining faithful to herself. Because she has been all over Cain this season, her apology felt awkward at the time. It seemed a little strange for her to tell him he's a good son and then suddenly take off her gloves. However, you were also aware that at this time, we were so near to the finish line that they were going to discard items that might not make sense. Within the Tejada group, Monet and Cain have always been the closest, primarily because Cain took on the business that Drew and Diana couldn't or wouldn't undertake when Lorenzo passed away. You could see from their conversation that their bond was forever sealed with their mutual loyalty, and that loyalty would never waver. Whether they had to choose between being angry with each other and anyone else outside the family, it wouldn't really matter whether they were alienated and drag each other from sunrise to sunset. In the 7th episode of Power Book 2, Ghost, Season 4, Cain does not quite win Noma over. Image courtesy of Stars. Upon reflection, the relationship between Monet and Cain was always central to the family, even more so than that of Monet with Diana or Drew or the siblings with one another. Therefore, having it all on display in those final moments was both appropriate and tragic. But Noma and Carter's overly sentimental preparations to cut out the thorns in their sides were the only reason for the build-up to that moment. It was a cunning plan, but it should have remained a secret until Vadim killed Monet and Tarek on Staten Island. Why was Tarek traveling there known to the unidentified guys that provided Drew the money? Carter, what are we doing here? This seemed like a severe operation to me. The biggest blessing in disguise was undoubtedly Monet's casual comment to Janet that she was heading to Staten Island, as well as Diana and Drew's strategic placement that allowed them to overhear Effie and obtain the information. But power is involved. If fortune hadn't occasionally been on these people's side, none of them would still be alive. Diana and Drew have developed as capable soldiers. Drew has showed us throughout the season that he is more than willing to stand up and get his hands filthy, but Diana has also displayed her bravery. In Episode 9 of Power Book 2, Ghost Season 4, Effie and Cain spend time together. Photo by Stars. The two had a far too brief chat in between body shots and lap dances, but they both needed to just be honest with each other about how they were really feeling. The aspect of Drew that Lorenzo always saw has been accepted. Diana as well. Diana is attempting to make sense of her life and her desires despite her confusion. It's difficult to give voice to something that's normal after what she went through and her grief. It's unfortunate that these stories will come to an end so quickly because there is still so much more to discover in them. There are still a ton of stories to tell about all the characters. Episode 3 of Season 13 of Chicago Fire. Spoilers, Who Are We Losing Now? Written by Whitmire Haley. Episode 3 of White Murder in a Small Town, Season 1. Warning, by Laura Nowak, Stana Katic makes an appearance. Scarpetta, all the information we know about Lisa Babbitt's Patricia Cornwell adaptation on Prime Video. However, before things go too serious, and they will, next week, Monet and Tarek had no choice but to eliminate Carter and Noma in order to complete the task they had begun. Although I'm still not sure if their plan worked or not, I do know that they were ready to take whatever required action. It was so long overdue that Davis could finally get his hands extra dirty. He has been on the verge of making a decision for several seasons now, and he will always have to make one. And he made the decision to kill himself when given the option. In Power Book 2, Ghost Season 4 Episode 9, Davis performs magic. Image courtesy of Stars. Once more, what consequences would that have for Davis? And after that, what options did he have? There just isn't enough time for us to find out. Why is it that everyone needs to put on a huge show before they murder someone? Why didn't Tarek simply shoot Carter through the confessional window while Effie was there to clean the tapes or do whatever she was going to do? You never give someone the opportunity to convince themselves not to get killed. It resembles Power 101. Naturally, Carter went inside Tarek's thoughts and dropped the bomb on him, which caused the other events that transpired during the wedding to happen. Carter must go, but I knew the Zion video would surface eventually. And for some reason, they made it worse by wounding him instead of murdering him and tying him up in an isolated place. Carter travels to Power Book 2, Ghost Season 4 Episode 9 to confess. Image courtesy of Stars. I get why Brayden has been the target of criticism from everyone this season, but at least he shows up prepared to work. Perhaps it's foolish. But when a battle breaks out, he's the first to make himself known. The biggest surprise in Power's history would be if Carter survived this season. I'm not sure what they do with him now. I may be exaggerating, but we lose people because he just cannot survive. I'm not going to permit it. Who else needs to go, do you know? Noma. Since she is ultimately to blame for all that has happened, I have truly had enough of her. I hope she gets hit with hell by Cain and the Tejadas. I don't see why she believed Cain would ever pick her over Monet, and it was so stupid of her to go through all the trouble for such a terrible outcome. In Power Book 2, Ghost Season 4 Episode 8, Tarek advances. Image courtesy of Stars. She won't survive this series, but I would guess that getting into a firefight during your fictitious wedding that you need to help keep your business going would be her downfall. Tarek has sufficient information from Anya to determine Noma's next course of action, and the Tejadas will handle the rest. Even though Noma can only enjoy killing Monet for a short while, it still bothers me that she feels that way. It's terrible that Noma finally got her retribution for Mecca and everything else. The Rookie's Most Badass Characters, ranked by Jasmine Blue. Joshua Fleming's 13 music videos that pop with cinematic glory. Lisa Babbitt's must-watch TV and movie horror anthologies to frighten your bones. Monet's narrative came full circle when she gave her life to save Cain and did everything in her power to keep him alive. She was the one Lorenzo left behind after he left, raising her family to unprecedented heights but breaking them beyond healing in the process. Even if their lives prevented them from becoming the ideal family, they all understood what it meant to be devoted and to love without conditions. In Power Book 2, Ghost Season 4 Episode 8, Monet and Drew have a much-needed conversation. Image courtesy of Stars. Diana, Drew, and Cain adored their mother for all that she said and did. Monet, for all her numerous faults, which were plentiful, loved those kids deep, deep down. She simply had no idea how to be a mother and a part of the world. She seemed incapable of being both. It's a shame it took her so long, up until her final moments, to discover it was possible to safeguard her babies differently. If there was ever a bunch of people willing to burn down the entire city as retaliation and get away with it, it didn't have to be this way. That's the group of Tejadas, then. It's difficult to think there won't be more severe. Before everything ends, there are always horrible deaths, but this one hurt more than I could have imagined. However, Monet died as she lived, giving her life for her family. Everything else you need to know. At Power Book 2, Ghost Season 4 Episode 7, Carter has to hide his mess. Image courtesy of Stars. The arguments between Tarek and Braden will be missed. Like only brothers, they truly have the ability to get under each other's skin. When Diana called Effie Cain's mistress, I had to admit that I laughed out loud. I laughed too at Tarek and Effie going back and forth as if they weren't horrible to each other. That was such a gorgeous wedding, before it all went to hell. Carter and Noma are pretty much the only people I want killed in the finale. And Nico, too, hee. He is also free to leave. Guys, we've arrived at the end of the road. While we wait for that last hour, tell me all your theories about how it will finish. I'm not ready to be too poetic just now because I'm still upset. Post every theory in the comment area. We have this in common. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.